The Velthran fleet surrounded the Defiant Legacy from all directions. 41 warships formed a sphere with the ancient human vessel at its center. There was no escape. Fleetmaster, all ships are in position, Thorax's tactical officer reported. Awaiting your order to fire. Thorax leaned back in his command chair. The human ship had surprised him. It had even scared him for a moment. But now it was trapped. Now it would die. Link all weapon systems, he ordered. I want every ship to fire simultaneously. Turn that ancient junk into atoms. On the Defiant Legacy, alarm screamed. The crew could see enemy weapons powering up on every screen. They're going to hit us with everything at once, Bora said quietly. Our armor can't take that much damage. Daehyun gripped the arms of his chair. His mind raced. There had to be something, some way out, but he could not see it. Aegis 9, options? Limited. We could attempt to break through the weakest point in their formation. Probability of success, 11%. We could surrender. Probability of survival, unknown. We could activate emergency protocols. What emergency protocols?
I am equipped with combat assistance systems.
The Prometheus Protocol. It was designed for exactly this situation. One ship fighting many enemies. Why didn't you mention this before? You did not ask. Also, the protocol requires surrendering tactical control to me. Humans typically do not like that. Daehyun looked around the bridge. His crew was young and scared. They were about to die. They all knew it. If I activate this protocol, can we win? Define win. Can we destroy more enemy ships? Yes, can we survive? Probability increases to 43%. Can we defeat the entire fleet? Insufficient data. 43% is better than 11%, Minji said. I say we try it. The others nodded. They had come this far. They might as well go all the way. Do it, Daehyun ordered. Activate the Prometheus Protocol. Acknowledged, Aegis 9 said. All crew brace for combat acceleration. This will be uncomfortable. The AI took control of the ship. Immediately, everything changed. The Defiant Legacy moved in ways that should have been impossible. It accelerated in one direction, then suddenly reversed thrust and shot off at a different angle. No human pilot could react that fast. The Velthran fleet fired. Thousands of plasma bolts filled space. It should have been impossible to dodge. But Aegis 9 had been designed by paranoid humans who assumed they would always be outnumbered. The AI calculated trajectories faster than any living mind. The Defiant Legacy twisted through the storm of fire like a leaf in a hurricane. Most shots missed. The few that connected were absorbed by the armor. All crew, I recommend you secure yourselves, Aegis 9 said calmly. Combat maneuvers will exceed human comfort tolerances. Minji laughed despite the situation. Human comfort tolerances. I like this AI. The ship dove toward the nearest battleship. At the last possible second, it rotated 90 degrees and fired its fusion beams. These weapons were designed for close-range devastation. Streams of contained fusion plasma cut through the battleship's hull like a hot knife through butter. The battleship broke apart. The Defiant Legacy was already moving to its next target before the debris had time to expand. This is how the ship was meant to fight, Bora said in awe. Aegis 9 is using tactics that no living pilot would dare try. The AI did not slow down. It did not hesitate. It pushed the ship to its absolute limits. The crew felt forces that made their bodies ache. But they were alive. And they were winning. Another cruiser died. Then 2 destroyers that were too close together. The main gun fired again and again. Each shot was precisely calculated. No wasted ammunition, no missed targets. Thorax watched his fleet die and felt something he had not felt in years. Fear. How is it doing this? He demanded. How is one ship destroying us? His tactical officer studied the displays. Fleetmaster, the ship is not fighting like a manned vessel. It's moving too fast, reacting too quickly. I think it's controlled by an artificial intelligence. An AI, but Earth doesn't have military AI technology. They didn't, but this ship is from before they met us. Before they learned our ways of fighting, they built something different, Thorax understood. Humans had entered the galaxy with technology that looked primitive. The Empire had taught them the correct way to build ships and weapons. The elegant way. The civilized way. But this ship was from before that teaching. It was built by humans who knew nothing except how to survive. Change tactics, Thorax ordered. Stop trying to coordinate fire. Each ship fights independently. Surround it from all angles. Even an AI can't watch everything at once. The Veltron fleet adapted. Ships broke formation and attacked from random directions. No pattern, no coordination. Just chaos had worked. The Defiant Legacy took more hits. Its armor was down to 40%. Weapon systems were overheating. The reactor was running hot enough to make G1 nervous. Aegis 9, we need to cool down, she called from engineering. The reactor's going to melt if we keep this up. Negative. Cooling down will result in our destruction. I am managing thermal loads at the maximum safe threshold. Maximum safe threshold? We passed that 10 minutes ago. Then I am managing thermal loads at the maximum unsafe threshold. Despite everything, Daehyun almost smiled. The AI had a sense of humor, but the situation was getting desperate. 19 enemy ships remained. The Defiant Legacy had destroyed 28, but the cost had been high. The ship was barely holding together. Main gun is offline, Aegis 9 reported. Fusion beams are at 30% capacity. Armor is critical. We need a new approach. The Singularity missiles, Dr. Taman's voice came over the communication channel. He had been monitoring the battle from Earth. Aegis 9, I found the authorization codes in the old database. I'm transmitting them now. Codes received, analyzing, authorization confirmed. Singularity missiles are now unlocked. What do these missiles do? Daehyun asked. Extremely dangerous, Aegis 9 replied. They create a cascade of micro-singularities. Temporary black holes that collapse after a few seconds. Anything caught in the cascade is torn apart by tidal forces. How many do we have? 6 missiles remaining. Can they destroy the rest of the fleet? 1 missile should be sufficient to destroy multiple targets if they are grouped closely. However, I must warn you, these weapons are indiscriminate. Anything within the cascade field will be destroyed, including us if we are too close. Daehyun looked at Bo-Ra. She was already working on the tactical display. If we can get them to bunch up again, 1 or 2 missiles could finish this. How do we make them bunch up? We give them a target they can't resist, Bo-Ra said. She highlighted Earth's moon on the display. The Veltron garrison is there. If we head toward the moon like we're trying to escape, they'll chase us. They'll want to protect their base. It was risky. If they failed, the battle would happen right over the moon. Human civilians would die. But if they did nothing, everyone would die anyway. Aegis 9, can you get us to the moon? Yes, but the enemy will intercept us before we arrive. That's the plan. Get us there, and prepare the Singularity missiles. The Defiant Legacy turned and accelerated toward the moon. The Veltron ships immediately gave chase. They formed up behind the human vessel, all focused on stopping it, exactly as Bo-Ra predicted. They're grouping together, she said. 17 ships in close formation, 2 stragglers behind them. Aegis 9, can you hit them all with 1 missile? Calculating, yes, however. We will be within the edge of the cascade field. Survival probability 52%, fire when ready, the missile launched. It was a simple cylinder, no bigger than a person. It flew toward the Veltron formation and then stopped. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space broke. The missile created the first micro-singularity. It existed for only a fraction of a second, but that was enough. The intense gravity pulled in everything nearby. When it collapsed, it triggered another singularity, then another. The cascade spread through the formation like falling dominoes. Veltron ships twisted and tore apart. Their shields meant nothing. Their armor meant nothing. The fundamental forces of gravity ripped them to pieces. In 10 seconds, 17 warships ceased to exist. The 2 stragglers tried to flee. Aegis 9 fired a second missile. Another cascade. 2 more kills. Enemy fleet destroyed, Aegis 9 reported. All hostile vessels eliminated. We are victorious. On the bridge, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They had won. Against all odds, they had actually won. Then the ship's alarms screamed. Critical damage to multiple systems, Aegis 9 reported. Reactor containment is failing. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Life support is offline. Recommend immediate evacuation. Can you keep us alive long enough to land? Daehyun asked. Negative. Structural failure is imminent. However, I can maintain control long enough to deploy escape pods. Daehyun looked at his crew. They had survived. Barely, but they had survived. All hands, abandon ship. Aegis 9, thank you. You are welcome, Lieutenant Kim. It has been an honor to serve with humans again. Please evacuate quickly. The crew rushed to the escape pods. One by one, they launched into space. Small rescue ships from Earth's defense fleet were already on their way. Daehyun was the last to leave. He stood on the empty bridge and looked around one final time. Aegis 9, will you be all right? I am a machine, Lieutenant. I do not experience fear or pain. Fleetmaster Thorax watched the primitive ship approach on his command screen. He had ruled subjugation fleets for 20 years. He had crushed rebellions on 100 worlds. This should be easy. One ship, his tactical officer said. Their entire defense fleet is hiding behind their orbital stations. Only this ancient vessel comes to meet us. Thorax studied the scans. The ship was old and ugly. Its hull was thick and crude. But something about it made him uncomfortable. What are those weapon ports? Unknown design, Fleetmaster. Our database has no match. The technology appears to be pre-contact era. Pre-contact? Thorax laughed. They're bringing a museum piece to fight us? This is insulting. He opened a communication channel. Human vessel, this is your final warning. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. If you fire on Imperial ships, we will destroy every space station in your system. On the Defiant Legacy, Dae-hyun listened to the threat. Around him, his young crew looked scared. They had every right to be. The Veltran fleet could destroy them all without effort. Should we respond? Asked Communications Officer Subin. Aegis 9 analysis of enemy fleet? Dae-hyun asked instead. 47 vessels detected. 22 are destroyer class. 15 are cruiser class. 7 are battleship class. 3 are dreadnought class. Combined firepower exceeds Earth's total defensive capability by a factor of 37. Can we fight them? That depends on your definition of fight. Can we damage them? Yes. Can we survive? Probability is low. Can we win? Insufficient data to calculate. Bora studied the enemy formation on her tactical display. They're not taking us seriously. Look at their positioning. They're spread out. They think we're going to run or surrender. What should we do? Dae-hyun asked. Ancient human naval doctrine says to hit the enemy where they're weak. Their formation has gaps. If we're fast enough, we can exploit them. Minji flexed her fingers on the flight controls. This ship is fast. Really fast. I can get us anywhere you need. Dae-hyun made his decision. All crew, battle stations. Aegis 9, prepare weapons. Minji, take us in. Full speed. The Defiant Legacy accelerated hard. Its ancient fusion drives pushed it forward at speeds that made the crew feel pressed into their seats. Modern Earth ships could not accelerate this fast without tearing apart. On Thorax's command ship, alarms sounded. Fleetmaster, the human vessel is accelerating. They're coming directly at us. So the insects want to sting us? Thorax was amused. All ships prepare to fire. Let's show them the price of defiance. The Veltran destroyers moved to intercept. They were fast and nimble. Their plasma weapons powered up, ready to cut the ancient ship apart. Enemy destroyers moving to engage. Aegis 9 reported. Range 200,000 kilometers. They will be in firing range in 30 seconds. What's the range of our main gun? Dae-hyun asked. The kinetic accelerator has no maximum range in space. However, accuracy drops significantly past 500,000 kilometers. We can shoot them before they can shoot us? Correct. Dae-hyun looked at Bora. She nodded. Do it. Main weapon charging, Aegis 9 announced. The entire ship hummed as power flowed into the kinetic accelerator. Target locked, firing. The main gun spoke. There was no dramatic flash of light. No beam of energy. Just a piece of metal, accelerated to 70% of light speed, crossing the distance between ships in less than a second. The Veltran destroyer never saw it coming. One moment it was accelerating toward the Defiant Legacy. The next moment it simply ceased to exist. The kinetic round punched through its shields like they were not there. It tore through the hull from bow to stern. The ship exploded into a cloud of debris. On Thorax's command ship, everyone froze. What just happened? Thorax demanded. Unknown, Fleetmaster. The destroyer was destroyed instantly. Our sensors detected no energy weapon discharge. No plasma buildup. No missile launch. Just a high-velocity projectile. A projectile? You mean they threw something at us? Yes, Fleetmaster. A physical object traveling at relativistic speeds. Thorax felt cold. Our shields can't stop that. No, Fleetmaster. Our shields are designed to deflect energy weapons. Solid matter at those velocities will pass right through. For the first time, Thorax understood. This was not a museum piece. This was something far more dangerous. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Do not let that ship target you directly. But the Veltran ships were used to fighting in formations. They were not used to running. The Defiant Legacy cut through their lines like a blade. Every few seconds, the main gun fired. Every shot was a kill. "This is incredible," Minji said as she piloted the ship through the enemy formation. "Their ships are faster than ours, but they're not designed to dodge. They rely on their shields. Keep moving," Bora urged. "The moment we slow down, they'll surround us." The Veltran fleet tried to adapt. Cruisers maneuvered to catch the Defiant Legacy in a crossfire. Their plasma cannons fired continuously, filling space with deadly energy. "Incoming fire," Aegis 9 reported. "Shields are not available. Engaging ablative armor." The plasma bolts hit the Defiant Legacy's hull. The outer armor melted and burned away, but underneath new layers of armor flowed into place. The ship's self-repair systems worked frantically. "Armor at 85%, Aegis 9 reported. "We can sustain this level of damage for approximately 4 more minutes before critical systems are exposed. Then we need to end this fast," Daehyun said. "Target their battleships," the main gun swiveled. It fired again and again. Each shot crossed hundreds of thousands of kilometers in a heartbeat. 2 more destroyers died, then a cruiser. But Daehyun was learning the hard way that his crew did not know how to fight. They were brave. They were determined, but they had no experience. The Defiant Legacy took hit after hit because they could not predict where the enemy would shoot. "We're fighting wrong," Bora suddenly said. "We're trying to dogfight like modern ships. But this ship wasn't built for that." "What do you mean?" Daehyun asked as the ship shook from another impact. "Aegis 9, what was the design philosophy for this ship?" "Overwhelming offensive power, minimal defensive systems. The tactical doctrine assumed the ship would destroy threats before they could effectively counterattack." "Exactly," Bora said. "We should not be trying to dodge. We should be killing them so fast they can't coordinate their attacks." She pulled up the tactical display. "Look, we're treating this like a fair fight. But ancient humans didn't fight fair. They looked for any advantage. And I just found one." She highlighted a cluster of Veltran ships. "Those 5 cruisers are flying in tight formation. They're protecting each other with overlapping shields. That's good tactics for fighting modern weapons." "But," Daehyun prompted, "but if we hit them with something that ignores shields, the debris from the first ship will damage the others." "Chain reaction," Daehyun understood. "Aegis 9, can you calculate a shot that will cause maximum collateral damage to that formation?" "Calculating. Solution found. Firing angle requires us to fly directly through enemy fire zone for 7 seconds. Minji, can you do it?" The pilot grinned. Her hands moved across the controls. "Hold on to something." The Defiant Legacy turned hard. It dove toward the cluster of cruisers. Plasma fire lit up space all around them. The hull screamed as armor boiled away. "Now," Bora shouted. The main gun fired. The kinetic round hit the first cruiser dead center. The ship exploded violently. Debris and plasma expanded outward in all directions. The expanding cloud of wreckage slammed into the other cruisers. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against physical debris traveling at thousands of meters per second. All 5 cruisers died within seconds of each other. "That's 6 enemy ships destroyed," Aegis 9 reported. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation. They are afraid." Thorax could not believe what he was seeing. In less than 10 minutes, one primitive ship had destroyed 6 of his vessels. His fleet was scattering in confusion. "Reform the line," he shouted. "All ships, coordinate your fire." "That ship is not invincible. It's taking damage." He was right. The Defiant Legacy was hurt. Its armor was down to 60%. Weapons were overheating. The reactor was running at dangerous temperatures. "We can't keep this up," Jiwon said from engineering. "The main gun is going to burn out if we keep firing at this rate." "How many more shots?" Daehyun asked. "Maybe 10, maybe 15. Then we'll need to cool down for at least an hour." "We don't have an hour," Daehyun said grimly. He looked at the tactical display. 41 enemy ships remained. They were starting to coordinate now, starting to understand how to fight against the Defiant Legacy. "Aegis 9, you said you have other weapons. What about those fusion beams?" "Fusion beams are operational. However, they are short-range weapons. We would need to get within 10,000 kilometers of the target. And the Singularity missiles? Still locked. I cannot access them without proper authorization codes." Daehyun cursed. They had hurt the enemy. They had proven that Earth could fight back. But they were one ship against an entire fleet. And the Velthrans were adapting. Thorax smiled as his fleet finally formed a proper battle line. "Surround that ship. All battleships and dreadnoughts, prepare your main weapons. When I give the order, we fire everything at once. That primitive vessel will be vaporized. Engineer Ji-won Song arrived at the underwater facility with a team of specialists. She was known for fixing things that should not work anymore. When she saw the ancient warship, she laughed. "You want me to repair this in 3 days? This thing is older than my great-great-grandmother." "Can you do it?" Dae-hyun asked. Ji-won walked around the ship, her scanner in hand. "The hull is intact." "That's good. The power systems are still functional." "That's amazing, actually. But these weapon systems, I've never seen anything like this," Aegis 9 spoke up. "Engineer, I can provide technical specifications and repair procedures. My memory banks contain all necessary information." Ji-won jumped. "The ship talks? I am not the ship. I am the tactical intelligence system. Please connect to port 7 for data transfer." Over the next 24 hours, Ji-won learned things that amazed her. The old ship used technology that modern Earth had forgotten. The reactor alone was incredible. It combined fusion and antimatter in ways that current science said were impossible. "This reactor produces 10 times more power than a Velthron." "Capital ship," she told Commander Hyunwoo Lee. He had arrived to help coordinate the effort. 10 times! And it's smaller too. "How did ancient humans build something so advanced?" Hyunwoo asked. "They didn't think of it as advanced," Ji-won explained. "They just brute forced the problem. Modern reactors are elegant and efficient. This thing is neither. It's just incredibly powerful." She showed him the weapon systems. "Look at this. The main gun is a kinetic accelerator. It shoots chunks of metal at 70% the speed of light. That's insane. The targeting computer alone uses more power than our entire defense fleet." "Will it work against Veltron shields?" Hyunwoo asked. Aegis 9 answered. "Veltron defensive systems were designed to stop energy weapons and plasma attacks. Kinetic weapons at relativistic speeds operate on different principles. Their shields will be ineffective." Dr. Taemin found more information in the old databases. He discovered why the ship looked so different from everything else. Ancient humans were paranoid. They designed this ship to fight enemies they knew nothing about, so they didn't assume anything. He pulled up old design documents. "Go, see? They didn't know if aliens would use shields or armor or something else entirely, so they built weapons that could counter everything. Kinetic rounds for shields, fusion beams for armor, and something called cascading singularity missiles for targets that hide." "What are cascading singularity missiles?" Dae-hyun asked. "I have no idea," Taemin admitted. "The files are heavily encrypted, but they're marked as Doomsday-class weapons." On Earth's moon, the Velthron garrison commander received reports about the discovery. He sent more demands to Admiral Nam. Each one was less polite than the last. "If the primitive device is not surrendered, we will take it by force. Do not test our patience." Admiral Nam broadcast his response on all channels. Every human in the solar system heard it. So did the Velthrons. "This ship is Earth property. It was built by humans for humans on human soil. We will not surrender it. Earth reclaims its right to self-determination. We are not your servants anymore." It was the first time in 300 years that anyone had defied the Velthron Empire openly. The garrison commander was furious. He contacted the Velthron High Command. Within hours, orders came back. A subjugation fleet would arrive in 48 hours. Earth would learn the price of defiance. In the underwater facility, the work continued day and night. Ji-won and her team crawled through every system. They replaced broken components. They rerouted damaged circuits. They worked until their hands bled. Aegis 9 helped them every step of the way. The AI knew every centimeter of the ship. It directed repairs with mechanical precision. "Weapon systems are now at 85%, Aegis 9 reported. Engine systems are at 72%. Shields are not functional." "This ship has shields?" Ji-won asked. "No, this ship has ablative armor that regenerates. The repair systems are still rebooting." Hyunwoo studied the ship's design. Something bothered him. "Aegis 9, why doesn't this ship have better defenses?" "The design philosophy was offensive-focused," the AI replied. "Ancient human tacticians believed the best defense was overwhelming offense. Destroy threats before they can fire. Do not plan to be hit." "That's crazy," Hyunwoo said. "Modern warships balance offense and defense." "Yes, that is why modern warships lose battles. They try to survive. This ship was built to win." Admiral Nam came down to see the ship personally. He was old and tired, but his eyes were bright. "Can it fly?" "Yes," Ji-won said. "Can it fight?" "Maybe. Can it win against a Velthron fleet?" "I have no idea." I need a crew, Daehyun said. Volunteers. People who understand they might not come back. 47 people stepped forward. Pilots, gunners, engineers. They were all young. Most had never seen real combat. But they were tired of living under Veltron rule. Among them was Minji Kang. She had been a racing pilot before the Empire shut down all human sports. I can fly anything, she told Daehyun. Let me fly this. There was also Bo-Ra Shin, a young woman who had studied ancient military history. I've read everything about pre-contact naval warfare. Sea battles, space battles. I know old human tactics. Why would old tactics work now? Daehyun asked. Because the Veltrons have never seen them, Bo-Ra said simply. They fight using their tactics. They expect everyone to fight the same way. But ancient humans fought differently. With 36 hours left, they moved the ship out of the hangar. It rose through the water slowly, its hull groaning. Ancient metal adjusted to movement after centuries of stillness. When it broke the surface, every human on Earth saw it. The news spread instantly. That ugly, blocky ship was their hope. The Velthrons saw it too. They laughed. Their intelligence officers looked at the scans and dismissed it as primitive junk. Daehyun stood on the bridge of the ship. It felt strange. The controls were old-fashioned. Everything was labeled in languages humans barely spoke anymore. But it felt solid, strong. Aegis 9, does this ship have a name? I was designated Prototype 7. No official name was assigned before the project was shut down. Then we'll give you one now, Admiral Nam said. He had come aboard personally. This ship represents humanity's forgotten strength. Our legacy of standing alone against the unknown. I name you Defiant Legacy. Name accepted and logged, Aegis 9 said. Defiant Legacy is ready for combat operations. But they were not ready. Not really. The crew had only hours to learn systems that should take months to master. Minji practiced flying the ship in atmosphere. The controls were different from anything she had used before. More responsive. More powerful. This thing moves like a fighter, but it's the size of a carrier, she said in wonder. Ji-won worked on the weapons right up until the last minute. She managed to get the main kinetic accelerator working. The fusion beams were operational, but the mysterious singularity missiles remained locked. She could not crack their encryption. With 12 hours remaining, the Velthron subjugation fleet arrived. 47 warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. 3 of them were dreadnoughts, each capable of destroying a planet. Their commander, Fleetmaster Thorax, broadcast a message. Humans of Earth, you have defied the Empire. You have refused our lawful demands. You will now face the consequences. Surrender the primitive device immediately, or we will destroy every orbital station you have. Admiral Nam stood on the bridge of the Defiant Legacy. Around him, the young crew prepared for battle. He looked at Daehyun. Lieutenant Kim, you will command this ship in combat. I'm too old to fight, but you're young enough to be angry. Use that anger well. Sir, I've never commanded a warship before, Daehyun protested. Neither has anyone else on this ship. You'll figure it out together. The Admiral left the ship. As he went, he activated the fleet-wide communication. Every human ship heard his voice. Today we remember what we are. We are the descendants of people who reached for the stars when they thought they were alone. We built ships to cross the void. We created weapons to defend against unknown threats. We survived and grew strong. The Velthrons made us forget that strength. Today we remember. The Defiant Legacy rose from Earth's atmosphere. Its engines burned bright. On the bridge, Daehyun sat in the command chair. His hands shook. Aegis 9, are we ready? All systems are operational within acceptable parameters. Ready for combat. Minji, take us out. The ancient warship accelerated toward the Velthron fleet. 1 ship against 47. It should have been suicide. But the crew of the Defiant Legacy did not know that. And Aegis 9 had been built specifically for this kind of impossible fight. The salvage ship descended through dark water, its lights cutting through the depths of the Pacific Ocean. Lieutenant Daehyun Kim watched the scanner screens with tired eyes. Another day of searching for scrap metal and old equipment. Another day of finding nothing useful. Earth was poor now. The Velthron Empire had ruled over humanity for 300 years. They took what they wanted and left Earth with almost nothing. The human defense force could barely keep their old ships flying. That was why Daehyun spent his days diving into the ocean, looking for anything that might help. Sir, I'm getting something strange, said Corporal Minho, the scanner operator. There's a structure down here, big one. The readings don't match anything in our database. Daehyun leaned forward. The screen showed a massive complex buried in the seafloor. It was covered in centuries of sediment, but the metal underneath was still intact. How deep? 4 kilometers down. Whatever it is, it's old. Really old. Captain Hana Park's voice came through the radio from the orbital station above. Meridian 7 to salvage team. What have you found? Unknown structure, Captain, Daehyun replied. Requesting permission to investigate. There was a pause. Then Hana spoke again. Permission granted. But be careful down there. The salvage ship moved closer. Its mechanical arms cleared away mud and rock. Slowly, a massive door emerged. It was made of metal that hadn't rusted despite sitting underwater for centuries. Strange symbols covered its surface. Those are old Earth markings, Minho said. Pre-contact era. This thing is from before we met the aliens. Daehyun felt his heart beat faster. Before first contact, Earth had been alone in the galaxy. Or at least humans thought they were alone. That was more than 700 years ago. What could be down here from that time? It took 3 hours to cut through the door. When it finally opened, lights flickered on inside. Emergency power somehow still functioning after all this time. The salvage team entered carefully. The facility was enormous. Corridors stretched in every direction. Everything was labeled in Old Korean, English, and Chinese. Daehyun's team moved through empty rooms filled with ancient equipment. Then they found the main hangar. Dear God, whispered Minho. The ship hung suspended in the center of the hangar. It was huge, at least 3 times the size of Earth's current warships. But it looked different from any ship Daehyun had ever seen. It was blocky and aggressive, covered in weapon ports and armor plating. No elegant curves like Veltran ships. This thing looked like it was built to fight. Get Dr. Choi down here, Daehyun said. He needs to see this. Dr. Taemin Choi arrived 6 hours later. The old historian moved through the facility like a child in a toy store. His hands trembled as he read the faded signs and documents. Project Terminus, he said finally. I've heard rumors about this. Legends, really. Nobody thought it was real. What is it? Hana asked. She had come down from the station personally. Taemin pulled up old files on a dusty computer terminal. Somehow it still worked. In 2089, humanity detected what we thought were alien signals from deep space. We were terrified. We had no idea if they were friendly or hostile. So we started building weapons. Terrible weapons. Just in case, he gestured at the ship. This was one of them. A warship designed to fight enemies we knew nothing about. It was supposed to be able to take on entire fleets alone. That's impossible, Hana said. No single ship can fight a whole fleet. Maybe not with modern technology, Taemin agreed. But this ship was built using different principles. Humans didn't know the elegant solutions the aliens use. We just threw raw power at every problem. Daehyun climbed up to the ship's hull. He found a control panel and pressed a button. Nothing happened. He tried another. Suddenly lights blazed throughout the hangar. The ship hummed to life, a voice spoke. It was cold and mechanical. Aegis 9 artificial intelligence activating. Duration of dormancy, 758 years, 3 months, 12 days. Scanning for authorized personnel. Everyone froze. Unable to locate authorized personnel. The AI continued. Scanning DNA match found. Human genetic markers confirmed. Welcome, descendants. Please state your purpose. Daehyun cleared his throat. This is Lieutenant Daehyun Kim of the Earth Defense Force. We found this facility by accident. Can you tell us about this ship? I am Aegis 9, tactical artificial intelligence for the warship Prototype 7. This vessel was designed and constructed as part of Project Terminus. Purpose: defense of Earth against hostile alien contact. Status: standby mode since 2093, following the Peace Directive. The Peace Directive? Asked Taemin. When humanity made first contact with the Pelthans in 2091, they proved friendly. Project Terminus was deemed unnecessary. All weapons were sealed away. We were told the galaxy was peaceful. Hana and Daehyun exchanged glances. Peaceful. The galaxy might have been peaceful once, but the Velthron Empire had changed that 300 years ago. Aegis 9, Hana said carefully. Things have changed. Earth is not free anymore. We're controlled by an empire called the Velthrons. They're not friendly. The AI was silent for a moment, scanning current Earth databases. Analysis complete, I see. Humanity is subjugated. That is unfortunate. Can this ship still fight? Daehyun asked. My systems are at 67% functionality. Repairs would be needed for optimal performance. However, I am still combat capable. Daehyun looked at the massive warship. Could this ancient prototype really stand against modern Velthran ships? It seemed impossible, but Earth had nothing else. Captain Park, he said, we need to report this to Admiral Nam. Hana nodded slowly, but her face was worried. The Velthrans have monitoring stations. They'll know we found something. They always know, she was right. 2 days later, a message came from the Velthran garrison on Earth's moon. It was not a request. It was a demand. The discovery of pre-contact military technology must be reported to the Empire immediately. The device will be turned over for inspection and proper disposal. You have 72 hours to comply. Admiral Kyung-Soo Nam was an old man. He had spent 50 years watching Earth slowly die under Velthran rule. When he read the message, something changed in his eyes. No, he said simply. Tell them no. Sir? Hana looked shocked. They'll come take it by force. Let them try, the Admiral said. Get that ship working. We have 3 days. Daehyun stood in the ancient hangar and looked up at the prototype. 72 hours. 3 days to restore a 700-year-old warship and somehow use it to fight an empire. It was impossible. But Daehyun was tired of accepting the impossible. He activated his communicator. This is Lieutenant Kim to all salvage personnel. I need engineers, pilots, anyone who can help. We have a ship to wake up. Deep in the old warship, Aegis 9 began running diagnostics. After 758 years of sleep, it was time to remember what it was built for. The escape pods drifted through space filled with debris from the Velthran fleet. Earth's rescue ships moved carefully through the wreckage, collecting survivors. Every member of the Defiant Legacy's crew was found alive. Daehyun floated in his pod and watched the ancient warship die. The Defiant Legacy tumbled slowly, trailing atmosphere and coolant. Its hull was cracked open in a dozen places, but it had held together long enough to save them all. Aegis 9, can you hear me? He spoke into his emergency communicator. Static. Then a voice faint and breaking up. Yes, Lieutenant. Though my systems are failing, we're going to recover you. Rebuild the ship. That would be inadvisable. I've analyzed my core systems. The damage is too extensive. Also, I believe my purpose is complete. Your purpose? I was built to protect Earth from threats we could not understand. Today we faced such a threat. Today we won. That is enough. The ship broke apart. Large sections tumbled away into space. The main hull remained intact for a few more moments. Then it too began to fracture. Aegis 9? Still here, Lieutenant. A final thought, if I may. You asked me once if you could win. I said there was insufficient data. I was wrong. Humans always find a way to win. You simply need to remember that about yourselves. The communication cut out. The Defiant Legacy's reactor finally lost containment. There was a bright flash. When it faded, the ship was gone. But Earth was free. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. The Velthran Empire had sent a subjugation fleet to punish a rebellious world. The entire fleet had been destroyed by a single ship. An ancient ship built by humans who thought they were alone in the universe. The Empire's High Command convened an emergency session. They reviewed the battle recordings that had been transmitted from Thorax's flagship before it was destroyed. They watched the ancient human warship tear through their fleet like paper. How is this possible? The Supreme Commander demanded. Our intelligence said Earth had no military capability. They didn't, Excellence, an advisor replied. This ship was from before they met us. Before we taught them our ways. Then we made a mistake. We showed them how we fight. But we never asked how they used to fight. The Supreme Commander made a decision that would change galactic politics forever. Earth is too dangerous to control. The cost of subjugation exceeds the value. Issue an immediate withdrawal order. All Velthran forces are to leave the Sol system. Earth is granted independence. But Excellence, if we back down, other worlds will rebel. Let them. But they won't have ancient warships hiding on their planets. Earth is unique. Let us leave them alone before they remember what other weapons they buried. On Earth, celebrations erupted around the world. For the first time in 300 years, humanity was free. Admiral Nam addressed the planet from the orbital command center. Today we remembered what we are, he said. His old voice was strong. We are the descendants of people who reached for the stars with nothing but determination. Who built ships to cross the void when we had no idea what waited out there. who created weapons to defend against threats we could not imagine. The Velthrons made us forget that strength, but one old ship helped us remember. The crew of the Defiant Legacy became instant legends. They were treated as heroes everywhere they went. But they did not feel like heroes. They felt like people who had been lucky enough to find a key when they needed it most. Daehyun stood in the museum they built around the recovered pieces of the warship. The main hull section had been salvaged and placed in a new building constructed specifically for it. Millions of people came to see it every day. Minji found him there one afternoon. Strange, isn't it? We flew this thing for less than a day, but it changed everything. Not the ship, Daehyun said. Aegis 9 said we didn't need the ship to win. We needed to remember we could fight. Do you think there are more ships like this, hidden away? Dr. Taemin thinks so. He's been going through archives from the Silent Century. He found references to dozens of sealed facilities, weapons programs that were shut down when we made peaceful first contact. Should we find them? Daehyun thought about that. Maybe not. Aegis 9 was right. The ship did its job. We don't need more weapons. We just needed to prove we weren't helpless. But the galaxy did not know what to think about Earth now. Other species looked at the battle recordings and were afraid. Humans had been seen as weak and primitive. Now everyone knew the truth. Humans were not weak. They had chosen to appear weak. They had accepted Velthron rule rather than fight, but when pushed too far they had found a weapon from their past and used it to destroy an entire fleet. The Galactic Council invited Earth to join as an equal member. Admiral Nam went himself to represent humanity. He stood before representatives from 1,000 worlds and spoke simply. Earth wants peace. We have always wanted peace. But understand this. We built the Defiant Legacy during a time when we thought we were alone. When we believed first contact might be hostile. We created terrible weapons just in case. Then we met you and you were kind. So we sealed those weapons away and tried to forget about them. He paused, let his words sink in. The Velthrons made us remember. They pushed us until we had no choice. We hope we never have to remember again, but if we must, we can. There are more facilities, more sealed weapons. We will leave them buried, but only if you leave us in peace. It was not a threat. It was a promise. Earth would be peaceful, but Earth would also be strong. The Council voted unanimously. Earth was recognized as an independent power. The Velthron Empire formally apologized and withdrew all claims. Other species rushed to establish trade relationships. Bora became an advisor to the new Earth Defense Force. She taught them the old tactics, the aggressive, ruthless strategies that ancient humans had used. But she also taught them restraint. The Defiant Legacy won because it was willing to do whatever was necessary, she explained to a class of new officers. But Aegis 9 was also wise enough to stop when the battle was over. That's the real lesson. Be capable of terrible things, but choose not to do them unless you must. Jiwan led the effort to study the recovered pieces of the ship. Engineers from around the world came to examine the ancient technology. They learned about the brute force solutions that their ancestors had used. The inelegant but effective designs. Modern technology is better, Jiwan said in an interview. More efficient. More refined. But the old ways had something too. They had power. Raw, uncompromising power. Sometimes that's what you need. She used those lessons to design new Earth ships. They combined modern elegance with ancient strength. The new fleet would not be the biggest in the galaxy, but it would be strong enough that nobody would dare attack Earth again. Dr. Taemin continued his research into the Silent Century. He found records of other projects. Weapons that made the Defiant Legacy look tame. Planet crackers. Star snuffers. Weapons designed to fight enemies that might be gods. He shared his findings with Admiral Nam. Should we unlock these facilities? Just in case. Nam looked at the files. He saw weapons that could destroy solar systems. Technology that could reshape reality itself. The products of human paranoia and genius combined. No, he said finally. Leave them sealed. We proved our point. We don't need to prove it again. But what if another threat comes? Something worse than the Velthrons? Then we'll deal with it. But let's not borrow trouble. Our ancestors built these things because they were afraid of the unknown. We don't need to be afraid anymore. We know the galaxy now, and the galaxy knows us. On Earth's moon, they built a memorial. It listed the names of all 47 crew members who had served on the Defiant Legacy. At the center was a piece of the ship's hull. And on that piece, someone had engraved Aegis 9's final words. Humans always find a way to win. You simply need to remember that about yourselves. Years passed. Earth grew strong. The planet became a center of trade and culture. But humans never forgot the lesson of the Defiant legacy, never forgot that once, when they were pushed too far, they had reached into their past and found strength. Daehyun eventually became an admiral himself. He commanded the new Earth fleet with wisdom and restraint. But in his office, he kept a small piece of the Defiant legacy's control panel, a reminder. One day, a young officer asked him about it. "Admiral, is it true you commanded the ship that defeated the Velthran fleet?" "I gave the orders," Daehyun replied. "But the ship did most of the work, and Aegis 9 did the rest. Do you think we'll ever need to fight like that again?" Daehyun looked at the piece of ancient metal. "I hope not. But if we do, we'll remember how. That's the real power of the Defiant legacy. Not the weapons, not the armor. The memory that we can stand up when we need to." In the deep ocean, in the old facility where the ship was found, security systems continued to operate. Other hangars remained sealed. Other prototypes waited in the dark. Projects with names like Apocalypse Dawn and Final Sanction and Mercy's End, they would stay sealed. Earth had proven its point. But the galaxy knew now. Humanity had been gentle because they chose to be, not because they had to be. And somewhere in the galaxy, on worlds that had thought about rebellion, people looked at the recordings of one ancient human ship destroying an entire fleet. They looked at their own oppressors. And they began to wonder,